A lot of people are enraged currently at Colin Kaepernick, the former NFL quarterback. You might remember him playing in the NFC title game with the 49ers. I think he was in the Super Bowl as well. I remember him putting a beat down on the Green Bay Packers. That was very surprising to a lot of people. He ended up falling out of favor, being replaced, and then I guess he had the kneeling controversy that kind of turned a lot of people on him regarding kneeling during the national anthem. But this is not about that. This is about Colin Kaepernick, the entrepreneur. He started a new company called Lumi, and they are going to be in the business of AI-generated comic books, or at least AI-aided comic books. And a lot of people in the comic book industry are very upset about this. And I might, confuse some people. I might upset some people myself with my stance on Lumi and what Colin Kaepernick is doing. I don't really care. As long as you tell people that you're doing AI art, or you're presenting your comic book with AI art, or the script was generated by AI and not a real person, I don't care what you do. If Marvel and DC start producing AI art covers and stuff like that and start producing comic books written by AI, I will stop reading them and stop covering them on here. I don't consider AI comic books to be real comic books. They're just created by computers. Anybody can do that. I think it takes a real skill to write a comic book, to illustrate a comic book, to letter a comic book, to color a comic book, to pencil, ink, all that kind of stuff, to market a comic book, to actually get one produced and put it out there. So while I don't begrudge what Colin Kaepernick is doing, and I personally don't have a real issue with it, I would never ever support this because it's just not my thing. But there certainly are people out there that might want to support it. And if they are interested in AI generated, illustrations for the comic book and they want to support that, that's their free will. They can do that. So I do have a differing opinion than a lot of comic book pros out there. I fully understand that one day I likely won't be able to create videos on YouTube because there will be somebody out there with an AI creating videos competing with me, and potentially they'll probably be better than me at some point or more interesting. Hopefully that doesn't happen because I do think I put my own personal spin on it, which an AI wouldn't be able to do because they don't have personalities. And that's kind of the crux here that a lot of people are upset with. Let's get to some of these details on what's going on. Colin Kaepernick spent at least part of the last 2 years developing Lumi, described by Kaepernick in its announcement press release as a groundbreaking platform that empowers creators by providing them with the tools needed to independently create, publish, and merchandise their stories both digitally and physically. Lumi's mission is to democratize storytelling by providing tools for creators to turn their ideas into finished products, as well as distributing and merchandising those stories, transforming any creator into Disney. And I think it probably takes more than just a few AI tools to turn yourself into Disney. I do think you have to have a love of the craft to be a good storyteller, to know what works and what doesn't work, which is something I don't think AI is even close to when it comes to writing. And certainly the years it takes to hone the craft of visual storytelling. And there are a lot of bigger name creators in comic books today that I wouldn't consider visual storytellers. It's that hard to get right. So I understand there is a supply and demand. A lot of people would like to demand for some great artists, but there isn't a great supply of it. So there might be a place for people to go out there and go, you know what? I've got this story I want to write. Maybe I can't afford an artist, but I can afford to use the Lumi platform. Or I had an artist and it didn't really work out. I don't want to go try that again. Let's go try out AI. And I don't begrudge them of doing that. I just wouldn't support the book. But I will say this, there's a weird stuff going on here because you can't copyright things generated by AI, especially solely by AI. Coming up with an idea for a character design, putting in the prompts, and then having Midjourney or Lumi or another AI create it is still being created and powered by AI. You can't copyright the characters that you're creating. So I imagine a lot of these people want to be creating IP that's worth something that they can sell off maybe to Netflix as a streamer or another platform, for television or movies and stuff like that. And you get into a weird gray area, especially with the art, unless you actually draw the art itself, but it's not very good. And then you throw it to an AI filter. Now you have enhanced art from an AI, which I think is copyrightable, because there's a human element to it. When it comes to like scripts, if you needed to hire them, maybe you were an artist, but you needed a writer to really help you out with your script and you couldn't find the right one, and you hire this AI. If it's generated solely by the AI, that's not copyrightable either. Like your story would be public domain the minute that it was published. But if you came out with the outline and let's say all of the story about the dialogue, because you just couldn't get a voice for the characters, maybe you had AI create the dialogue for you, then I think it would be copyrightable. But you get in these weird little gray areas. So going this route might make your creation completely public domain, especially if you're using it for art, which I do think a lot of people will use it mostly for, because I do think the biggest scarcity of talent out there are people that are really good artists. There are a lot of people out there that are writers, not a lot of great writers, but there are a lot of writers out there looking for projects and stuff like that, but there certainly aren't enough artists out there. And you get into this weird area to where you might have created the next big thing, but it will be able to be stolen essentially the minute that's published. So I don't even know the merit of this is all that important or beneficial, especially if you're creating new stuff. But they're going to give a go at it. He was able to generate, or I guess raise $4 million for this project and this concept. And there are a lot of people that are very upset about it. You know, you should have invested that $4 million into a real artist. And to that, I say he's clearly not interested in creating a comic publisher or being a comic book creator. He wants to create a platform to assist comic book creators by adding AI tools that can help them out and round out whatever their project is and kind of finish it off. If not just do all the art or maybe all the dialogue and stuff like that for you. Like he's going in here, sure, it's a comic book startup, but this is a tech startup with comic book applications to it. I don't think he's actually interested in comic book, but a lot of creators are very, very mad at him because $4 million could create a lot of comic books and could probably fund a lot of artists and writers for a couple of years at least. You could have a team of them with that kind of money. One such person was Ben Templesmith. Lumi was founded out of the barriers that Kaepernick discovered publishing his own works. This included high production costs, long production timelines, and gatekeeping within the industry. He didn't like paying artists, had ignorant ideas about how long things take to craft. Another person that was speaking out was Tom Taylor. No, you and Lumi are depowering storytellers. You are promoting the theft of art, and you are telling every working artist on the planet that they have no value in your eyes. Take that $4 million in capital and invest it in artists rather than a machine that steals from them. Two pretty decent points out there as far as Ben Templesmith stating, you know, we founded this because of the gatekeeping and the timelines and all that stuff. Yeah, one page of comic book art, generally speaking, takes a day of work on the part of the artist. And that's just like with the pencils. And then after that, you've got the inker on it, and you got the colorist, you got the letter, and you have to keep everything, you know, formatted correctly. Then you got to go through with the editor. And it is a long, arduous process to get a comic book out there, especially the art piece of it. And if you want to do a 60-page graphic novel, you should expect at a minimum, if they're working every single day without a day off, the artist will take at least 2 months. And the better the artist, the more detail they have in it, the longer that it's going to take. You know, the longer the graphic novel that you want to write. You want to do 120 pages? That should take at a minimum four months if there's no days off for most artists. And then if you throw days off in there and maybe now you're going out to 6 months and now you have the creator looking in on it and saying, that's not exactly what I wanted. Let's redo that. Oh, wait, I have to redo this element. I need to redo these other elements. And you're talking about something of that length, maybe taking 6 months just to get the art done for the project. It does take time. I don't consider that gatekeeping. That's the timeline established that it takes to have a real, professional product delivered to your customers. And I do think it's kind of lame. It was like, oh, there's gatekeeping because I had to hire an artist and it was going to take a while. And it cost a lot to hire an artist because it literally takes them one full day of work just to get a page done in your comic book. But if you have love of the craft and you have love of the medium, that comes with the territory. That's where the risk that you take when you get into comic books. And a lot of people, a lot of the guys that I talk to and a lot of my friends that are in comic books and creating, they're like, don't quit your day job. Do this, at night when you have time off. Keep your day job because you are taking a lot of risk. There are a lot of costs in there, but there is also the potential to make a lot of money. As far as you're empowering storytellers, I think democratizing storytelling by allowing people that aren't professional storytellers become professional storytellers is just kind of a stupid concept. Democratizing storytelling. If you have a good idea and you're able to put it on paper and you know how to communicate with people and you can, execute your ideas to a level to where people understand it and it's actually good, it's going to be good. If you're a good artist, and you know what you're doing and you know visual storytelling, it's going to be appealing to people. Somebody coming up with a concept, throwing it into an AI and an AI creating a script out of it does not make you a storyteller. The AI did all the work. You came up with a few key plot points, and that's part of storytelling. But that's like the big macro thing. You're not even onto the micro level where you have to develop those relationships and the characteristics and the motivations and the flaws and the strengths and all that stuff and how it plays out and how you get from one story element to the next to make it seamless and all those things. And AI does not do that, quite frankly. It can't do that yet. Will it get there? I think it will. I think AI will get powered up and streamlined very, very efficiently. And I think we will be very surprised at what it's capable of, just in another 2 or 3 years. But you're not a storyteller because you use some prompts. You're not an artist because you're able to describe a concept and they went out there and borrowed the style and, original art of somebody else and created something, using AI. So it's kind of lame. That's why I wouldn't support these kind of comic books, but I don't begrudge Colin Kaepernick or anybody that's into AI comic books or producing them. Just tell me that it's AI so I know, so I won't support it. And that's all I'm saying. Be honest about this stuff because there are plenty of people out there right now making money off of AI comic books and especially AI covers. Go to Whatnot. Go look at all those special covers out there. Plenty of them are AI generated and people are paying top dollar for them, because they're spec value, right? These are really limited collectibles because this person on Whatnot, told me so and they shipped their ass or something. And to be completely honest, we know that we've had AI art published by DC Comics. I believe we've had AI art published by Marvel Comics, but I'm certain of with DC. And I would be very surprised if we haven't gotten full scripts done by AI on the behalf of some of the writers that have been contracted by Marvel and DC. And I would be overwhelmingly shocked if creators, writers at Marvel and DC aren't at least using AI to help them with the process of writing a script. We likely are getting elements of AI-assisted scripts and stuff like that already. I wish Marvel and DC would do more, or at least come out public and say, this is our stance and this is how we're going to fight against it, to ensure that I know and all the customers out there know that when you buy a DC or Marvel product, that it's a human product. It's actually created by artists, whether they be writers, artists, letters, and all that kind of stuff. But I fully believe we are getting AI comic book scripts, and I know we've gotten AI comic book art published by the big two already. I hate that it's happening. Speaking of wasting your money on comic book startups, we did have another little blurb out there about another company. Distillery has raised a $5 million seed round to be used for additional content deals and new features for the company's digital marketplace. The round was led by 1AM Gaming, a Santa Monica. Excuse me. The round was led by 1AM Gaming, a Santa Monica-based venture fund investing in game content platforms and technology. 1AM's Greg Milken has joined the board. The company has now raised a total of $7.4 million since its founding. And this is another startup out there that they're making comic books and they're hiring real creators and certainly real artists, but with like a focus on trying to make them like digital collectibles or something like that. It's a stupid idea. Nobody's really paying much attention to Distillery, and they don't even have a track record really of success. But they still raised another $5 million, and they've been able to generate almost $7.5 million, in funding for this idea. It's not like you have to have a great idea to go out there and have someone give you $4 million for it. You just have to have an idea that could mean something, and a lot of people are willing to take that risk, likely throwing money in a lot of different places and hoping at least one or two things kind of blow up. Shark Tank style, right? Trying to be the next Mark Cuban or Mr. Wonderful or something like that. So it's not like there isn't dumb money already in the comic book industry. We have Distillery at $7.4 million now. Now we have an additional $4 million from Colin Kaepernick and his startup Lumi, creating AI tools for comic books. You know what I mean? I'm not going to get mad about it, but then again, I'm not a real artist. You know what I mean? I'm not a comic book artist. But even then, Ben Templesmith knows that comic book fans especially, aren't going to support this, but there are certainly a lot of people out there that would support it or maybe wouldn't even care. And if there's a big enough market and it can cut down costs and production times and they can find people to really support these products, then I say go for it. Let the market decide. I can just tell you right now, this channel and myself have already decided. But there are a lot of people very upset about this, about Colin Kaepernick. And a lot of people that probably thought he was an angel are very upset with him now. And it's certainly got a lot of people enraged in comic books. I just happen to be not one of them. I don't support it, but I don't begrudge him from doing that either. If you'd like more coverage about comic books and just geek culture in general, and you'll appreciate what we're doing over here on Thinking Critical YouTube, providing a little bit of honesty, a real appraisal of the comic book industry and how things are going. You go over to Patreon and you support us there, and we give you awesome podcasts, an extra 32 hours minimum every single month, bonus features over on Thinking Critical Patreon. There's a link in the video description if you would like to go check it out.